The next core value that we're talking about is what it means that we are motivated by building community. And I think this really should inform a lot of our work. If you think about what really has impacted you um, in your Calvin experience, most likely it's been relationships that have really formed and allowed you to develop and grow as a person. And we want to be an office. We want to provide programs that actually facilitate community formation. And so let's dive more deeply into this. As you think about building community, I think the idea of intentionality has to be primarily the first thing that comes to mind. Is that community can happen, and it does happen in a very organic way, and yet orientation really has to speed up that process. We want relationships to form in hours and not days. And so, how do we intentionally create space for a community to form? And I think it's important to think about how that is. And I think primarily we do that by the 7 or 8 of you really building community within yourself. If you can experience that, if you can form that as a group, that's a great way to model what community means to the rest of our new students or OAs or OLs. And so primarily, I think it's so important for the board to experience and build community within themselves. And then secondly, how do you create that in other groups? And so as you think about your work with the orientation assistants, how do you build community with that group of students? How do you ensure your small group of OLs have a community aspect to it? Because when they can see it, when it's modeled, then they're able to duplicate that for their groups of new students that are coming to campus. And that's really why we're doing this all, right? We want new students to feel a sense of belonging, to feel a sense that they know others and that other people know them. And that's so critical to their success here at Calvin University. And so this has to be a large component of what we do, this idea of building community, and it's got to inform our work each and every day. I think there's three key components when you think about what it means to build a community. And the first one has to do with, I think, curiosity. It's really hard to be invested in a community if you're not curious about the people that you're with. And so that involves questions, it involves trying to understand people's perspectives. But this idea that if you're not curious, then I'm not sure you're really interested in building community. The second one is investment. It takes time and effort and energy to build community, particularly when we're trying to do it intentionally. And so you're going to have to be willing to sacrifice so that community can be formed. And that's really important. And it always happens. It doesn't happen without a cost. And often that's an investment of our time and energy. And so if this is something you'll value, then it's something that you'll invest in. And that's an important part of what it means to build community. And lastly, but not least, is this idea of acts of kindness. And I think as we think about building community and we're investing in people, this idea of that we're providing service and an opportunity for people to be known and to know others, people are going to resonate with someone that performs acts of kindness within the context of that relationship. And that's a great way to form and build community, is when you're serving the people that are in that group. And so hopefully you're up to this challenge. It's not always easy, and yet it's so critical if we want to experience true Christian community. Homework for this week, it's another fun one. I want you each to plan an event, an act, a situation for the orientation board that builds and facilitates community. So it doesn't have to be a traditional event that you spend all 2 hours at, but I want you to think creatively. How can you build community within the orientation team? And each one of you need to find a way of doing that this next week. And I'm excited to hear more about how you guys or what you guys come up with. So have fun with this one.